Hello, this is Mr. Huff, and I want to do a short video broadcast about the IPC, Integrated Physics and Chemistry, Semester 1 final exam. So, some things you're going to have to do for sure on this exam. You're going to need to know how to do unit conversions. So, if I give you a conversion factor, you should be able to convert from one thing to another. The process will look like this on your scratch paper. I'm only interested in the final number. You need to be familiar with these formulas. You need to know that this is the velocity formula, distance divided by time, the momentum formula, mass times velocity, weight and force. These are essentially the same formula. We just replaced force with weight and acceleration with the acceleration due to gravity. You need to know how to calculate acceleration using this formula, the final velocity minus the initial velocity divided by time. You need to know how to calculate work problems, where you take the force and multiply that times the distance. You also need to know the energy formulas and use these, finding kinetic energy and gravitational potential energy. And then finally, electrical calculations using Ohm's law. Voltage is equal to current times resistance, and power is equal to current times voltage. The thing that I see people making a mistake on frequently is not remembering that I means current measured in amps. Okay, so this is part one of the study guide. Blank is a renewable organic matter that can be burned in the presence of oxygen to convert chemical energy to thermal energy. You can look at this word here, organic. That means it's biological, and that should remind you of biofuels or biomass. A blank is described as a device that converts chemical energy to electrical energy. The only thing that we have talked about that does this is a battery. A circuit that has more than one branches for electrons to flow is a parallel circuit. Look at the word branches, and it has two or more. I think I said more than one. So it's two or more branches. That tells you it's parallel. You need to know what dry mix means. Dry mix stands for dependent, responding, and y-axis. So if we look at this graph here, we can see the y-axis. This is the dependent variable or the responding variable to what we change. Mix stands for the manipulated or independent variable, and it's on the x-axis. So in this graph, we can see here hours of battery use is the manipulated or the independent variable, the one I can change, and the y-axis is the responding or dependent variable based on how we change the hours of battery use. True or false? Electrical current generally increases as voltage increases. If you look at this formula, Ohm's law, voltage is equal to current times resistance. We can see that voltage and current, represented by the letter I, are directly proportional. So if you increase one of those, the other one has to increase. That means this is a true statement. A feather will fall through the air more slowly than a brick because of air resistance. According to the law of conservation of energy, the total amount of energy in the universe, look at the word conservation, it means to save. Okay, so if we save all the energy, the total amount of the energy in the universe remains the same. At what point on a roller coaster is the gravitational potential energy the lowest? Where do we see the lowest gravitational potential energy? We would see the lowest gravitational potential energy at point X in this diagram because it is the lowest part of the roller coaster. It has the least height, and that means it has the lowest gravitational potential energy. Current that does not reverse direction is called direct current. Examples of non-renewable energy sources, you can see that nuclear power, oil, gas, coal, these are non-renewable. Once we use them up, they are gone. True or false? Energy does not have to involve motion. This is true. Think about potential energy and elastic energy, or elastic potential energy. You have stored energy that's not moving. Identify samples of accelerated motion. Anything that's moving with a change in velocity or a change in direction is an accelerated motion. So read your answer choices carefully. Examples of vectors and scalars. Scalars only have an amount, a magnitude, like length, area, volume, speed, mass, density, temperature, pressure, energy, entropy, work, or power. Things that have direction and a magnitude, like displacement, direction, velocity, acceleration, momentum, force, electric field, and magnetic field, are represented with an arrow because they include a direction and a magnitude. Fast food restaurants keep food hot with infrared lamps. What type of heat transfer is this? This is radiation. You can see the lights are shining down on the food, keeping it warm, so they're radiating the food. True or false? Houses, schools, and other buildings are wired using parallel circuits. We know that they are parallel because you can turn one light off and the rest of the lights stay on. Forces that are equal in size but opposite in direction are balanced forces. Geothermal power plants get their thermal energy from magma. And you can see in this diagram, the magma at the bottom heats up the water, turns it into steam. The steam is used to turn a turbine and returned back to this reservoir where the water is being turned into steam. Heat is blank energy that is transferred from one object at a certain temperature to another at a different temperature. This is thermal energy. Heat and thermal energy are the same idea. How to draw a best fit line? Look at this line. It's a great best fit line. It goes through the middle of the data. It is a nice straight line. They're not always straight. You have to use the data. But in this case, this is a straight line, and you have about the same number of points above and below the line. Think of it as a visual average. If you ride your bicycle down a straight road for 500 meters and turn around and ride back, your distance is greater than, less than, or equal to your displacement. Remember the definitions for distance and displacement. So that means your distance is greater than your displacement. In the absence of air, a penny and a feather that are dropped from the same height at the same time will fall at the same rate if you take the air away. And remember the video we watched about the bowling ball and feathers from NASA. Most of the energy that is created by power plants is in the form of electricity. This is a nice little fact. Newton's first law of motion is also called the law of inertia. Remember our little acronym LIFE. The laws are inertia, force is mass times acceleration, and equal and opposite reaction forces. Petroleum, natural gas, and coal are three kinds of fossil fuels. That is the end of part 1.